I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? Who did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the other weeks know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again, and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I'm one half of that podcast, senior writer for Last Week Tonight, author of How to Fight Presidents, and current vigilante Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, say hello.
Hey, I'm Soren Bowie. I'm a writer for American Dad, a dad in my own right, and homeowner, which used to have it was a thing that like I could say over Daniel. Like, what's going to differentiate me from him? Not anymore.
Thanks to Shopify for supporting Quick Question. Shopify is a platform designed for anyone to sell anywhere, giving entrepreneurs like myself the resources once reserved for big business. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/QQ, all lowercase. Do I want to do it?
Huh?
Just a couple of homeowners. Just a couple of homos. I don't know.
Homo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I wanted to abbreviate it and do one of those things where like, oops, I accidentally abbreviated it into something uncomfortable. I was like, do I even want to introduce a word that I'm not super comfortable saying for like vague slur adjacency?
It's not our word.
Even if I'm using it ironically, I don't know.
It's not ours to use.
No.
Daniel.
Yeah.
I got a couple of questions for you that right off the bat. First of all, great introduction. I love that you didn't use John Oliver this time, so he didn't write your book. That's a real. I love that. And you slowed down for some of the other stuff. So it was like, hey, I wrote a best-selling book.
Yeah.
Which is like a really nice thing to say.
I did realize midway through the intro, I didn't slow down because I was taking my time with it. I slowed down because I realized the last time we recorded, I changed the intro to something shorter, and I wanted to do that again, but I forgot.
Oh, you forgot it.
Yeah.
Well, last question. Vigilante. What did you do?
It's just
what have you done?
For our listening audience, I'm wearing a black skull cap and a black hoodie, and I didn't change for the podcast. My day has just completely gotten away from me, and I haven't shaved in a while, so I'm a little scruffy. I just feel like I'm most likely to be on the news in connection with the CEO slaughter.
Yeah, you look a little like Tim Pool.
I do. Oh, I do. I've got that dumb, and there's a microphone in front of me, and I'm so serious. Yeah, that's perfect, Tim Pool face. So it's Monday. We're recording on Monday. We don't normally record on Mondays, and I have volunteer work every Monday morning at my food pantry, and normally everything's abnormal today. Normally, we don't record on Mondays. Normally, I don't work on Mondays, so I do my volunteer work at my leisure. But we needed to record today, and we're in pre-production at work, so we're doing a normal Monday through Friday thing. And so that means I get to the pantry earlier than I normally do, so I can get all of that done before work. And I was running around and doing that, and between pantry and grocery shopping and working, I didn't get like showered or ready for the podcast in any kind of formal sense. And I'm in the clothes that you would put on if you wake up in the morning and you have to go to a food pantry and carry boxes back and forth.
Right.
And
Yeah, you do look like somebody from Law and Order that's got a little
Yeah.
bit of information but is unloading
Yeah,
pallets.
yeah, but I have to like move this giant case of lettuce heads.
Her? Yeah, I remember her. She was
Yeah.
around here 2.5 years ago. Said her dad was giving her trouble. She was going to move out of the house. You just like a surprising amount of information.
Yeah, it's like
about somebody.
Mary Swanberg. I don't know, 6'2". She wore a black dress all the time. Her father was in the army, but he went
Six
AWOL.
really
I don't
good
know
friends.
if that's useful.
Yeah, 6 really good friends. A couple just acquaintances that she would have, but she'd go out to dinner with them every once in a while. Thursdays usually.
Yeah, one time she came into the bar and there was this guy who was like staring at her the whole time and like grabbed her by the arm just as she was leaving, said something real close to her that I couldn't quite hear. I read lips, of course, though. So he said, "You better give me that money or else." I don't know. Was this helpful, officer? I really wish I had more information for you.
I was really waiting for that to turn into you were the one who grabbed her by the arm. Like that's why you have all this info. You're the one. But I love where it went anyway.
She has this misunderstood ex-boyfriend type.
He's really a good guy in the end. He broke down one of her doors. He did do that.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'll tell you where he wasn't on the night of her disappearance, at her apartment. That's where he wasn't. I can say that for sure.
But neither was she. So, shit.
Rats.
So I have some other questions for you. Are you in the throes of writing right now?
Yes. Or outlining. Why?
I'm getting that energy. I'm getting that. Because I also am. We started breaking. Not started. We're near the end of breaking my episode for the season, and it's that bathtub in the ocean feel. Like I think we both read On Writing by Stephen King, and it was so perfect in my mind. Like crystallized it for me really well. That writing is such a deeply lonely experience, and that it's like floating across the ocean in a bathtub, and you've got that. Like that feel to you, that energy to you right now, where you've been in it for a while, and like you're crawling out of it to be like, we're gonna do a podcast.
I thought you were responding to the quickness with which I jumped into that bit, because that is something I've noticed when I'm outlining and I'm supposed to be writing one thing, and then meanwhile, I will send a 10-paragraph email to Michael Swaim with an idea for a movie that we could work on together, because all of the comedy and writing is just flowing out in every direction except the one that it is supposed to be flowing towards.
And it always feels like it's going to help. I wouldn't say it ever does, but yeah, same thing. Like last script that I had, I wrote a whole short story for Michael Swaim.
Of course.
And it's just like you'll see me if you're following me on Bluesky. If I start getting super prolific on there, like I'm doing a lot of jokes, it's because I'm supposed to be writing something.
Man, he's on assignment.
I'm not going to do
deadline is coming up. Yeah, as Stephen King also says in On Writing, writing is a lot. It's a lot of crafting things for Michael Swaim. None of us knows why, but it's part of the process.
Yeah. You have to make you have to pay your homage. You pay your homage to Michael Swaim, the greatest writer of us all.
Sure.
And then you're allowed to write whatever you're going to write.
Yeah. But Soren, we can get into the show. My big news is the homeowner thing. We've talked about it a little bit, danced around it. It was a long process, but I'm officially in the home that I own with my wife.
That's so
This
exciting.
Setup will change. Weirdly, the podcast studio was not the first thing we set up when we got here. But it's I have so many thoughts on the process.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question.
Sure.
You, the first night that you spent there, was there any noise or anything where you're like, uh-oh? Or like, was there any aspect of spending an actual night there that made you go, well, we'll learn how to deal with this?
So we're going to sound like idiots. We live across the street from a small fire station. And every time we toured the house when we were considering buying it, there was no noise from the fire station. And the real estate agent assured us that it almost never goes off. And of course, the first night that, we didn't have our movers in yet, it was just like us with a folding chair and an air mattress and some champagne to like toast our first night. And of course, that's when the very loud fire engine goes off. It hasn't been going off since then, but it was that first night where it's like, well, yeah, no, it wouldn't be going off at 10 in the morning when we're touring the house, but yeah, at night when emergencies happen and when people sleep.
When you say small firehouse, it's got a number on it, right? It's like an actual. It's a sanction. It's like a.
Yeah.
And how many garage
you would
doors?
call them when there was a fire?
How many garage doors are on the front of it? I want to get a sense of how many trucks we're working
Just
with.
two.
You have a legitimate firehouse across the street from me. So I'll say when I moved into my the house that we previously lived in, the first house that we ever bought, we moved in at night. The movers got there so late, and it was a situation where we were ready to go. We had everything packed, and we were just waiting for hours, and that's a terrible feeling. But then we got in the trucks with them. We finally got everything, and as we're unloading stuff and like piling it into the house, there's a party across the street, and they're like, "Oh, you guys moving in?" We're like, "Yeah," and like, "Great," and then immediately gunshots. Somebody got shot, and so
holy shit!
They all like scooted inside. They're like, "Oh," and like they all moved inside. And Colleen goes, "Were those gunshots?" And this kid from across the street, teenager, hears her say that and just starts laughing. And I was like, "Oh no! Like what did we do?" Oh no! But it's fine because during the time that I lived there, only 3 other people died within that one block area.
Yeah,
from gunshots.
That's good. It's a new year! Boo thousand, funny thrive, as we've been calling it around here. And I bet you're thinking, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna make this year different? How am I gonna create something new? How am I gonna build something for myself? I wanna be my own boss. I'm always talking about being my own boss and turning my ideas into a reality and making money, but I don't know how to make it happen. All I know is how to podcast. I'm so good at it, and it's the only thing I know how to do. Shopify is here to help you. You know what they say? The best time to start something new is yesterday, but the second best time to start something new is right now. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale. Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates, no coding or design skills necessary. All you need is to drag and drop. Shopify's powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff like growing your business. What happens if you don't act now? Will you regret it? What if someone beats you to the idea? Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now. Cha-ching! With Shopify, your first sale is closer than you think. I'm an ideas man. You know that. And now I'm also a craft man, a craftsman. I have been building terrariums. I did it once as a project, and then I fell in love with it, and now I want to do it. And that was my big idea, was terrariums. I invented it, and I'm glad I don't need to think of anything else because Shopify thinks about it for me. What I love about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify gives you everything you need to take control and take your business to the next level, like me and my lucrative terrarium business. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/QQ, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/QQ to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/QQ. Cha-ching.
Well, that's okay. I mean, it's also a small town, so you're not going to have a ton of...
No, it's a small town. We haven't heard it going off every day or anything like that. It's been very nice living here. The mistake that I always make with moving is believing that having movers will solve all problems. That having movers, like just the fact that it's not me and my buddies moving things back and forth. It's actual professionals. That means that the move is basically done. And it's just not. It's just a never-ending thing of unpacking boxes and moving boxes from one room to another. And we still...
Yeah.
The fun fact about this move is our movers were dog shit. And I understand that we had a lot of
That's going to be really messy. You're going to have dog shit all in all your stuff
I
now,
know.
because they touched it all.
So we had our old apartment and we had a storage unit in another town, and they went to the apartment and they were going to get all that stuff and then stuff from the storage unit.
Yeah.
We also had a storage space in the basement of our apartment that I took all of that stuff out on moving day and put it in like this shared alleyway of my apartment building. And it was like a shelving unit that we put together with a bunch of boxes on it. And I put it in the alley, and I told the movers, this too. Also, this is ours. You can get that. They said, yeah, no problem. And then fast forward to the future for a move that went from 9 in the morning until 8 p.m. at night.
Holy shit.
Whole day.
Wait, and also you live like less than a mile away, right?
I
Or
live
like,
10 minutes away. I know. And they, at the end of the move, they were like, can you go through and check to make sure we got everything? Which is an insane thing to ask anyone, because like, how many fucking boxes? We're pretty organized people, but we're not doing an exact inventory of what's coming in. And I said, yeah, I think so. Just the stuff in the alley that I told you about. He goes, what? You go, no, I pointed it out and I said, that stuff too. And you said, yes, of course, no problem. Is that stuff in the truck? And he goes, no, there was just no room in the truck, which was a lie that I couldn't even, I didn't even have like the presence of mind to catch him on, because you know it's a lie because they went from our apartment to the storage space. So it obviously wasn't full at that time. They just completely forgot and didn't think about telling us about the shelving unit that is now just sitting in an alley. I was like, oh, you didn't get it. He goes, nah, there was no room. I was like, okay, so is it still just outside in the alley now? And he goes, yeah. I was like, okay. Well, one of us has to get it, huh?
Yeah. And one of us has a truck.
And it was me who got it. I went because he was just so tired.
How did you? It's a whole like bookcase.
I took it apart. It's like a Home Depot like plastic, easy to assemble shelving unit. So I took that apart. Not that we didn't like leave anything valuable in the alley, but it was not our intention to be assholes who just like left a bunch of stuff in the shared space of the old apartment building. So I didn't want to like leave it overnight. So I went and retrieved that. And then the stranger thing happened with the movers where they called us. I can't remember if it was later that night or the next day. And they were like, hey, we got another wardrobe box with a bunch of your stuff in it that we didn't give you.
Where? There's a box.
Right.
It was missing in a truck?
I guess it was in the truck.
Deep in the maze of the truck?
Yeah. And we were like, oh, yeah, well, we definitely want that. It's got my wife's wedding dress in it and some nice coats and stuff. So, yes, bring that to us. And they're like, all right, we don't really know when we're going to do that. And it's been days now. We still don't have it. And then we've had like phone calls with the company where they promised it at a certain time and they didn't deliver. And then we get transferred to a new person. And like already the narrative is getting away from us where they're like, so it's been brought to our attention that you guys misplaced something and then it ended up in our lost and found facility and we'd like to get it back to you. It's like, no, we didn't misplace anything. Your guys left it in a truck and didn't give it to us because they were sleepy. And I guess they brought it to your lost and found facility and we would still like it back. Please.
I mean, the fact that they have a lost and found facility is at least good, but it means that I don't think that box isn't going to end up at somebody else's house now.
I actually kind of question the logic of movers having a lost and found facility because you, as the movers, must always know where it came from. Nothing ever ends up on the truck accidentally.
That's true.
If you get to your home base and you open the truck and there's stuff in it and it shouldn't be a surprise. You're like, what the fuck is this?
Lost and found is a generous term on their behalf, like for them to avoid accountability. But it is nice that there's actually like a sanctioned spot to put that. Otherwise it's just like, I would imagine it would just be sitting on the truck and they'd be like, well, we'll get it back to him when we get it back to him. We have another move to do. This box doesn't take up a lot of room. We'll just leave it on the truck for now. And then that box ends up at somebody else's place.
Right. What else about owning a home? I found myself. I feel like we've talked about
everything.
This kind of thing before. That I found myself again, as I always do, on the wrong side of money power dynamics. This is a thing we've surely talked about, but it was just the span of 24 hours where we are told how much money the house wants of ours to eat, and it's good news. It's all of our money, and I get an email from the lawyer that is like, this is how much money to bring it as a bank check. And so I look at that amount, I confirm it, I show the amount to my wife, she confirms it. I go to the bank, I double and triple check and get that amount from the bank, and then I hand it to some other lawyer on the day.
Yeah.
And she looks at it, she's like, this is the wrong amount. We actually need a different amount. That is $350 more than this. And not bad. Yeah. But like immediate panic mode where I'm like, this is the amount that was given to me, and I did everything right, but I'm still sorry. And like, my wife has cash, and I can get to a bank or like Zelle or Venmo or whatever you want. And our lawyer is there too, and he puts his hand up. He's like, no. This is unacceptable. This is the number you gave me. That is the number I told my clients to get. They're not going to run to another bank and get another check. This is the amount. If there was a different amount, you should have told me. Yeah. And you should explain why the amount is different. And it's like, it's so fun to have a very serious person fighting on our behalf, but I'm still like, I may not be a lawyer, but I know you're not going to convince the bank to not take money. You can talk all you want, brother. They're going to get their money from us. Yeah. And the only thing that he got them to do was like, you can write them a personal check and you can mail it to them when this is all done. I was like, great. This is what a fun compromise that we don't have to go get a check now. And within 90 minutes of us signing the contract and getting the deed to our house, we had gotten, I want to say, 4 emails from the bank asking for the money. And I don't want to say how much the house costs, but it's a lot more than $350. Yeah. That's the big check, and the $350 is like it's there's no scam that we could pull that involves giving them the amount of money we gave them and then stiffing them on $350. Yeah. But they were still like, they emailed the two of us, they emailed us separately, they called my wife and left a message asking for the check, and they emailed on a chain with our lawyer, and stuff that we couldn't like execute on because when all this stuff was coming in, we were driving from the office where we signed all the contracts back to my apartment so I could get my checkbook and write a check to them. And, like, it was truly 3 or 4 things coming in while we're on the drive, and I'm like, yeah, I'm writing a check now. And an email comes back to me and it's like, send a picture of the check to your lender, but block out your account number. I was like, all right, this seems stupid, but sure. Here's a picture. It's got my name on it. It's got the amount on it. There, enjoy that picture. And then I rip the check out and I give it to my wife, and she puts it in an envelope, and she goes to the post office like, we're moving fast on this. And then they email back and they say, sorry, your lender wants you to rip the check out of the book and take a picture of it ripped out and send that to them. And
incredible.
Yes. No, it's already in an envelope to the post office. Like it's getting to even faster. And then my lawyer calls me and he's like, maybe you can just write another check, rip that out, send them a picture of that, and then destroy that check. And it's like, no, because then like if I take a picture of the check and then that doesn't match the check number of the check that they're gonna get down the line, I think they could be upset about that. And like I was really trying to tell the bank, like, no, the picture I took has to be okay. Yeah. Because
also, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like take the picture and be like, close your checkbook and be like, I get to keep that one.
I'm gonna hang on to this forever. You can't.
There's literally nothing else I can do with
idiots.
it.
Listeners know that my wife and I just bought a house. We own a home, and it took all of our money. So we're looking to save money anywhere we can, and RocketMoney helps us with that. They helped us find subscriptions that we forgot about, things that we've been paying for who knows how long. Rocket Money knows how long. Start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters most. For me, top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever because of the aforementioned house that we bought. Thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place, help me easily cancel ones that I forgot I've been paying for. Rocket Money also pulls together all of my spending across all of my different accounts, so I can clearly track my spending habits and see where I can cut back. I am spending too much money on candy. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts. Easily create a personalized budget with custom categories, like the candy category, to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going. Candy. Get alerts if bills increase in price, there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget. The new goals feature automatically saves money for you so you don't have to think about it. Pay off credit card debt, put away money for a house, did it, or just build your savings. Doing it. Rocket Money makes it easy. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save, and then you can ask them to negotiate for you so you don't have to talk to people. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/QQ today. That's rocketmoney.com/QQ. rocketmoney.com/QQ. Do it. And then finally, the lender gets back to me and it's like, we have accepted a letter from your lawyer confirming that the check is in the mail. I was like,
fantastic.
Great, good. After an incredibly stressful 90 minutes where they hounded us for this $350 and it really seemed like someone was going to come and take away our keys if we didn't give it to them. And when I talk about being on the wrong side of the money power dynamic, the very next day, I've been back to work for 2 weeks at this point. The very next day, our payroll department messages me and a few of the other writers individually to be like, hey, this as happens every year. There's some glitch in the system, so you're not going to get paid this week. Yep. Maybe if your bank is cool, you'll get paid next week, but I don't know. Sorry, buddy. New year, new problems. Yeah. And I just sit and stew on that I am never on the side of things where someone can just deal with the fact that I'm not giving them money.
Right.
You know?
You don't
I'm
have
always
the leverage
on this side.
ever.
I'm always on the like, rats. I sure wish I was getting paid for the work that I was doing, but guess I'll just fuck myself. Guess I'll just sit around and wait for the bank to straighten their act together.
That's wild. That's wild that the bank would make you do that over and over. By the way, I'm pretty confident, like, someone is getting that $300 and it wasn't on the original amount. Like, that's so common with things like weddings, like buying a car, like buying a house, anything that's like a big ticket item. You have the expense that you plan on it being, but in your mind, you also somehow know that there's going to be like another $400 somewhere. Yeah. And you don't know where that's going to be. And I would love to have $400. So if I was working for that business, I would be like, and also, you need to pay this. And people will just do it because it's like in relationship to the amount you just paid, that's a drop in the bucket. Yeah. So you're like, okay, here. And they just give, and you can just extort people essentially. Yeah. And I'm pretty confident that that's happening in every major business where you're dealing with a large sum of money. Everywhere. Somebody is like lining their pocket because they can get an extra $200 out of you without you even putting up a fuss.
I don't know if it's lining pockets or just like rank incompetence because they never successfully explained to us where the money came from or what it was. The best thing I understood, because the number that we were supposed to bring to close did change a couple times throughout the week, and I didn't get the check until we had like the final number that was still wrong. But as it changed throughout the week, because it was like, hey, this is how much you owe. And then a day or so later, they said, oh, fuck us. This is how much you owe. And there was a line item in the revised disclosure or the contract that was, they had done the math wrong and charged us like a federally illegal amount of money. So they needed to give us some amount of money back in the contract. And as they explained it to us on Friday, someone went back and crunched the numbers again, and they were like, oh, we were supposed to give them some money back, but not as much as we gave them back.
Oh my God.
So we're off by $350. And it all sounds like someone on their end screwed up a few times. Like no matter what, they just weren't dotting the I's properly. It was like, guys, this feels like you got to eat the loss at a certain point.
Yeah.
You got your numbers wrong multiple times in the same week on the same issue. I think you just take the L.
And so that's why, in my opinion, why like this actually is that somebody is gaining from these situations is that it has never once happened when I was getting married or all my weddings or the times I bought cars that they were like, oh shit, you know what? We this is actually for too much. We're gonna give you some back, or like, oh, we actually put the wrong number on here. It's actually less than this. That has never once fucking happened to me, because if they came across that and I'd already agreed to a number, they're gonna be like, just give us that then.
Yeah, I imagine they will balance if they did something wrong. I disagree with you. I think they will balance their books in some kooky bank way where when we're finally paying off the house in 2055, Soren.
Yeah.
They will look at our mortgage statement, and for the last 11 months of our mortgage, it's been reduced by like 38 cents at a time. Is this for good behavior? And they'd be like, nah, we really fucked up when we sold you the house 35 years ago. It was like $350. And so we're giving that back to you in the form of reduced payment for the last year of your mortgage. We're real sorry, but we're square now, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, I can see that happening. And you also mentioned that at your work that occasionally they're just like, oh, it's a weird thing in payroll. You're not getting paid this week. For anyone who doesn't know, when you're writing in television, this happens, I would say 90% of the time.
Every year.
Because it is, like, I've been back to work for 5 weeks. I've been paid once. And that's because it is always within the best interest of the studio, or like whatever the network is, to keep that money as long as they can. Because that money is worth something to them as long as they have it. Like they can, there's other things they can be doing with it. So they will pay you.
And to us, it's worthless. We don't know. We're dumb fucking writers. So we don't know what to do with it.
You've agreed to a contract. You know how much you're getting paid over the course of the year. But so frequently, you get to like those last few days of working, and they're like, here's all the other ones we owe you. Yeah. Like they'll begrudgingly give you 15 checks or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay. Thanks, this would have been fucking nice to have when I was buying a house.
It's just so frustrating how cool we as consumers are expected to be about money, and how not cool banks are expected to be, or insurance company, like all of the fucking big things that we send our money to. Yeah. You were just not allowed to say, I don't have it right now, or there was a screw up with payroll, so I can't pay my rent right now. Just be cool about it. You're just not allowed to
no, you pay interest.
If we don't pay our mortgage, we have 30 days, and then they are allowed to foreclose on the house and kick us out of here. And you bet your ass they will do it.
Yeah. Or if you're late on a bill of anything else, it's like, hey, you missed this hospital bill. Yeah. So now it's double, or like whatever. Like now there's interest on it. I mean, I don't. Because obviously I'm in the line of business where math does not matter at all. But I wish that I had that power to be like, oh, shit. Looks like Entertainment Partners, looks like you missed your payments to me for the last 2 weeks. There's going to be interest on both of those. Also, huge hit to your credit score. Yeah. Something that I can be like, you have to have some sort of repercussions for this, because otherwise you will just keep doing it till the end of time.
We have no levers to pull. There's no mechanism when payroll says, hey, you're not getting your check, where I could be like, well, it needs to be tomorrow, and it needs to be more because of my frustrations. You need to bring it straight to my house. Take a picture of it, in fact, Rip that
Wrong
fucking
picture.
book.
Wrong picture. Send a different one. I think there is. I think a lawyer could do that kind of stuff for you, but then you're paying a lawyer the whole time, and I returned a lease not that long ago, and when I returned the lease, they have somebody come to your house, do an inspection of the car, and then you turn it in, and then based on that inspection is how much they charge you extra from the lease. So they're coming to look for anything, and there was like a little. On your bumpers, if you look at your bumper right now, they're like these little plastic panels, right? Where like you could put in something else, like the sensor, or I don't know what they're fucking for. It's for a feature you didn't get.
Yeah.
And so there's just like a little cover for it. And one of those covers was popped off on my bumper. And I'd been to the dealership before and been like, hey, is this the thing I need to replace? And that guy's like, no, this part's like $19. It's fine. They do the inspection of the car. They wanted to charge me $250. No, $2,500 for it. $2,500 for this little piece. And I was like, I didn't find that out until I turned the car in because that's when I get the report. And I was like, this is wrong. And so I went to the Volvo Financial and I was like, hey, this is wrong. This is how much this piece is. I talked to the dealership and they're like, well, then you need to take that up with the dealership. And I was like, no, I'm taking it up with you. Like, this is not, you cannot charge me this much for this. And the woman was like, it is what it is. We'd had someone who's an actual inspector come out. And like, of course, that's the inspector's job. And she's like, it's already on the report. And I was like, well, then I guess the only way to solve this is in court. And she's like, then you need to let us know if you're planning to sue us, basically. And I was like, I'm planning with like no intention of planning. And so I was like, fuck, that went really bad.
In fact, my lawyer's right here. He's from down under. I'm one of the Australian lawyers.
You're in big trouble, mister. Have you seen Bluey? It's wonderful.
but now that I've lived in the States, it turns out I'm actually not Australian, and I'm Southern. It's a little bit easier for me to be from New Orleans. You understand?
Yeah, I changed my mind. And so I realized
I was going to have to say affidavit in an Australian accent, I realized I was cooked and I'd better be from New Orleans instead.
I'm somewhere from around there. I might be from the Garden of Good and Evil. I'm not real sure. Where's that, Savannah? I might be from there, actually. I was like, I'm pulling the only lever I have, which is blow the whole thing up. I have a bomb strapped to me.
Right.
Let me have my way. And the call did not go well. And I was like, fuck, I don't have any power. And then I was like, well, I'm going to call back tomorrow. Obviously I'll be talking to somebody else. That's my only other leverage, is that eventually you talk to somebody brand new who has no idea what the situation is. And I was like, okay, I'll try it again tomorrow. And so I call again. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Okay, so here's the weird situation. Like, trying to be very cordial about it. And the guy was like, oh yeah, we took that charge off. And I was like, what the fuck? Why did that woman do that to me? Why did she make me threaten to sue her? When you guys, she on the call was like dogmatic. This is the way it is. And then afterwards, I think that they probably go through and look, and they're like, oh, he's right.
Yeah.
Or they might go through and be like, he caught us. I don't know what it is. But eventually they changed it. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with all this anger and fear I feel inside of me, but thanks. I'm sure it'll go somewhere, maybe into my kids.
It's still a very joyous time. I never actually thought I would own a home because of the direction the world is going. It just seemed like it was never in the cards for me. Yeah. And it's still probably, I mean, I'm only in a house because I'm two people now, which is
right.
Is very nice. It's just all of the stuff around it, including cable company, like between the bank demanding stuff, my payroll telling me to fuck off, our movers either not taking our stuff or taking it too far. And then like the internet, like we've been using our phones as hotspots because we couldn't get the internet people to come in, and
all that stuff.
They do the internet thing where they're like, hey, we'll be there between 4 and 7. Yeah. Is that all right? And we're like, it's not ideal, but it's not our first rodeo. I understand that that's how you operate. And then they just didn't come in the stupid window that they gave us, the already wide window that we're sitting around waiting for them. They didn't come. And then they text us after that window, and they're like, yeah, a lot of our technicians are busy. Their things are going a little bit longer than they planned. So you still want it?
Yeah.
You still want it tonight, or should we try to schedule for another time? And we're like, I guess we still want it tonight. What we'd like to say is this is unacceptable.
Right.
You should be here an hour ago. But
I'm charging interest.
We just can't. We just have to sit here and wait for you to do it so we can watch our fucking stories. And it's eventually got set up. It wasn't my first lesson in being on the wrong side of the power and money dynamic was when I was 22 years old and just moved to Los Angeles. And it was my first time living by myself, first time in an apartment, and that wasn't like a college living. So I'm setting up all of the stuff by myself for the first time and reaching out to Time Warner to get my cable and internet there. And they're like, okay, great, we'll set it up in 2 weeks. And I was like, well, I mean, but I would like it now. 2 weeks is so long to be without cable and internet. And they're like, yeah, well, this is it. And then the 2 weeks came and they had to push that. And I had so many phone calls with them. And because I'm inexperienced and stupid, I'm yelling with them on the phone and be like, well, this is now coming up on 18 days. I just moved here. This is not relevant to you, but I don't have any friends. And not having internet in my home is difficult because it's the past. So I can't do anything on my phone. And I don't have a laptop yet. So the internet in my home is how I will talk to my friends, and I can't. And I don't have any TV to watch, so I'm just rewatching Weeds on DVD. So you need to fix this right now. And they said no. And like, well, then I will take my business elsewhere. And I canceled my appointment with them. And that's when I found out
you
can't do that.
No.
Like the cable and internet companies, certainly at the time, possibly still now, they just own certain areas. Right. And there's no competition, which is great.
Why they can show up to your house 4 weeks late.
Absolutely. And so once I did that research and talked to other people at our parent company, I had to call Time Warner again and be like, hey, it's me again. I need you to set up internet and cable for me, please. And they're like, it's going to be another 14 weeks. I'm like,
yeah.
I know. You could do whatever you want to me.
Yeah.
I understand now. I've learned... I learned how the world works. Do what you want.
What a humbling,
and I'll thank you for
moment.
it. And I'll tip your guy when he gets here.
I know.
And I think that the age that I am now, as I've grown more cynical, when I have experiences like this where I'm on the wrong side of the power money dynamic, I think when I was younger, I would say we need to change the system. Now that I'm older, I'm like, how do I become the landlord? How do I become the bank? I don't think the system's going to change. Yeah. So how can I'm
tired of living like this.
Fit into it in a way that benefits me.
It's no longer, I'm tired of being scared all the time. I will be one of the vampires. It just feels better if I'm just one of them.
I will make children and they will fix the system later. But let me just, for me now, let it work for me once, please.
That sucks. But I'm happy that you're in your house. I'm happy that you're getting settled. I'm so excited for you guys to think about all the different things you're going to do with every single room.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to hear, Daniel, because I guarantee you we're going to have this dream over the next 2 years where you are in a new house. It is your house, but it's not quite your house. And you're going to find an extra room or an extra hall or an extra something. And you're going to be like, we really ought to do something with this barbarian tunnel that we've got. We haven't done anything with it yet. And it happens to me still. It's just it's the same thing as having that dream about having not gone to a class all year at college. This dream will stick with you where your house suddenly has another room that you always knew about, but you're like, yeah, we just didn't do anything with it. We should do something. And it's exciting. It's well, that's fun.
That's going to be everything around our detached garage right now, because that was the only thing about the house that they had flippers in the house before who made everything nice, and we had a couple of repairs that we wanted done on the house before we purchased it. And the only thing that has been consistent the entire time is there is a detached garage that we did not touch, and that's as is. And we were like, that's perfect. We don't need you to do anything with it. every time we look at it, it's just this big open thing that we throw shit in, and I love storing shit in it. The previous owners used it as some kind of pretty serious woodworking operation. Like there is a heavy duty, immovable industrial vacuum for sawdust and wood chips or whatever. That is just attached to our detached garage right now. And every time we've shown anyone this house, like, and we're going to do something with that one day. And in the meantime, it's just a place to put our boxes. But I'm so charmed by it. It might be my favorite thing because it's allowed to be bad and because it's so unexplored by us right now. Like, you go in there and you can see there's like a loft space.
Yeah.
And the contractor was like, yeah, I think the previous owners were using that or wanted to use it as a loft, but
if
then they realized
they kept wood up there.
It was unsafe, so they removed the ladder to get up there. And I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get up there and see what the fuck is there, because
it's
we just haven't
icing
yet.
on the cake. Yeah, that's how we felt about ours. Our garage has like a whole back exterior. That's where I am right now. I'm in like the very back of this garage. It's like its own separate room. But it was the same thing. This garage is a piece of shit, and I love that it's a piece of shit because I would like do woodworking in here, and I'd spill stain on the ground and be like, "Well, I'm not going to clean that up." Yeah. and I can do whatever I want back here. Like it's trash, and I love it.
Quick question for you about woodworking and like home improvement stuff, because you fix things and you build things, and I've been installing blinds, and the question came to me as I was doing it. What are some irrational things you do when you're building or fixing or doing any kind of handyman stuff? Because I'm very new to it, and as I'm screwing these blinds in, I get very frustrated because I'm doing it wrong, because I'm not a handyman and I'm certain I'm doing it wrong. But separate from doing it wrong, doing it irrationally, I will, there are 4 screws that need to be screwed up to get the blind brackets in.
Yeah.
And I will take a break from a screw and move on to another screw. If one of the screws is frustrating me, I will be like, you're in timeout. I'm going to work on this. And I do the same thing. I have 2 screwdrivers that are both correctly formatted for this task. But if I'm like doing something for a while and then it slips out of my hand, as it does over and over again,
you're in the doghouse, baby.
I'm going to trade this for the other screwdriver until screwdriver, you're either going to watch and get jealous, or maybe it's not a tough love situation. Maybe you just need a break, and I'm going to give you a break, and I'm going to switch to this screwdriver. And even though I know all the screws are the same and all the screwdrivers are the same, and even if I put a screw in timeout, it still they all need to get in or the job isn't done. I'm still, as I swap out screwdriver for identical screwdriver, I'm like, yes, now we're cooking. Now I'm really moving.
I think, I don't know if that's totally irrational. Like benching your tools is not tool bench. Is that something? Tool bench.
Yeah.
Oh, so benching your tools is not completely crazy because the screwdrivers are not the same. Like in terms of the bit that sits up there and like actually is like doing the screwing, like that's the same. But sometimes like there's just like how it holds in your hand. If the shaft of it is super long or if it's really short, like it all changes how much torque you can get on the screw. And so sometimes you're like, you're out. Like you can't hang in this. This is a different league, man. And then you have to like bring in a new screwdriver and be like, you're my guy. Come on, please.
Yeah.
But in terms of like moving on from a screw, that's very funny. You're like punishing them. You're like, you're not going in. And that's, by the way, that's not a thing that ever goes away. If you're installing, especially blinds, because you have to have such long screws because they're heavy, you know where the stud is. You can figure out where the stud is in your wall. You can do everything right. And then you start going in. You're like, well, for whatever reason, behind this particular part of the wall, I can tell that there's metal back there.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not going any further. So I'm fucked here. Like there's like some sort of metal sheeting in there that I can't get past. Or you're like, you pull it out and for whatever reason, the stud doesn't go all the way up the wall. And you're like, what happened here? There's like during some redesign, they cut that section, and like all of a sudden all you're getting is insulation pulled back out when you pull the screwdriver or the drill back out, and you're like, there's no stud. The stud does not go this high. So that's not crazy. It's not awful.
It's a little bit crazy just because when I'm just saving the work for me to do later. It's not gonna, the screw needs to go in, and eventually they all went in, but it was still, there's an irrational part of my brain that is like, maybe if I leave it long enough,
maybe I can surprise
someone's dad will fix it.
Maybe I can jump at it and surprise it in a little bit.
Maybe one of the neighborhood dads will come by and use our bathroom and be like, oh, hey, while I was in there, I
saw that you didn't have a screw
I saw
in
you
there.
had the blinds out, so I put them up for you.
Put it up. So I do a thing. I have like a very nervous thing. Two things. Measuring, I'm a lunatic about because I'm so bad with numbers, just in general. Like I'm so bad, especially even with fractions. And you're dealing with fractions all the time when you're measuring. And so to the point where if I'm doing it, if I had to tell somebody how long it had to be, it would be embarrassing because I'd be like, oh, that has to be 14 inches, 3 small ticks and 1 big tick on the ruler. Like, I don't know what that fraction is yet. I could count how many it takes to get to the next inch or whatever, and then be like, okay, well, then that would be, there's 3 of them, so that would be thirds. So that would be, oh, God, what is a third? What does that look like in a fraction form? But I measure everything over and over and over again.
I'll be looking at things at Home Depot and be like, that's 23 and 3/8. 3/8. We'll call that 23 and a half. And like, no, you can't. It's called something else. You need the numbers to be correct.
Yep. I would run into that with woodworking all the time where I'd be like, I would be measuring from one end of the board, and it would be a board that I got from like Home Depot or Lowe's or something. And I'd be like measuring from the end of the board, and like my numbers would be off. And I was like, what is going on? And then it took me so long to realize that the boards that are coming from Home Depot, you've also got to cut because those ends are not perfect right angles. Like you've got a little bit of like gradual slope at one end of those. So you're just like measuring from either like the distance of about 6 inches and you're like from the back of a board. It can be completely different once you get to the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of measuring things because I get that wrong, and terrified about like mounting a TV. I'm scared of because that I just need to be right, and I'm not, and I need to be right for a lot of it. Like the blinds, I'm screwing up successfully, and
you're in the window. Like you've got like a little recess. Okay, that's great. Oh, that's wonderful.
And the thing fits into the brackets, and that works. And I noticed that these blinds come with something where these little like plastic triangle nooks that you can put on the bottom of your window frame to like catch the blinds when you bring them to the bottom and locks them in place. And I'm looking at that and trying to put my thumb on the scale when I talk to my wife. It's like, we have these optional things. I don't really see the purpose of them. Do you want them? And she's like, no, I don't really need them. It's like, that's good because these ones actually require me to be right. The top of the blind does not. I could be a little bit wrong on that, and I am. But these things, like, I need to be correct, and I don't plan on doing that because I don't know how.
It's embarrassing how trying to hang even photos. If I hang pictures next to each other, like they have to. Usually, when you hang a picture, you're trying to get it within like the same. Like maybe you want to measure it, you want to set it with the top of door frames nearby. So it's not looking crazy and like out of place. Or you measure pictures against each other. So like the spacing between them matters and how high they sit matters. Now on the backs of picture frames, where it actually connects to the wall is different all the time. Yeah. You've got some that have like the little wire hanger, some that have like a bracket that the nail sits on. And so you're not actually measuring from the top of a frame when you're making the hole in the wall. Like you've got to really do some math and figure that out. And every single time I put up pictures, I set them up and then I call Colleen in and I'm like, take a look at these. And I'm just begging that she doesn't notice that I fucked it up again.
I'm very lucky that my wife is handy and knows how to do this kind of thing. She hung up our mirror in our last place, and I'm grateful to her for that, because if it was just me in this house, and I was showing it off to people, one of two things would happen. I would either decide that my aesthetic is that we don't hang anything up ever, or my aesthetic is, I kind of like it that nothing is level and and nothing's on the same plane. It's sort of like, it's like a modern eclectic, janky ass style that I've decided I like for the purposes of this decision that I've committed to.
Yeah. I don't envy you that. I don't envy you the hanging stuff up. Curtains is so stressful. Curtains and blinds are like super stressful. But good luck with that. Yeah. And I want to hear more about this adventure as you go. You're going to find stuff. You're going to find stuff in your house. You're going to be like, fuck! There's never like a good thing you find in your house. We're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's always something bad. So I'm excited to hear all the things that you encounter. And like basically having a house is just a new way for the world to hurt you. And I can't wait to find out all the ways that it...
I feel bad focusing on like so many of the dumb negative things, because we're at every 5 minutes, one of us is like, we are in our house and we're very excited about it. And just like everything is still, we haven't run out of firsts yet, you know? Yeah. It's our first weekend in the house. It's our first Monday in the house. It's the first home cooked meal, whatever, our first house guest, our first whatever it's going to be. We're keeping tabs on all of it. And getting very excited over and over again. So it's, on balance, been a very joyous experience, but that kind of talk doesn't sell podcast numbers, bro. We got to focus on how
I can't frustrated
I am with the bank.
Till the sewer starts backing up through your shower. I want to hear about that. That's what I'm excited for. I know that feeling, though. You wake up in a new place is such a great feeling. There's sun in it, and you're like, I can't believe the sun gets in here too. Like they really designed this just right. So I'm excited for you, but I'm more excited to hear how it all goes wrong, because then I feel that I can commiserate. I can commiserate with you on that.
It will. I mean, we've for all of the inspections that we've had done and all the touring, we started looking at the place in November, and you can't. It's too cold to test the air conditioning. So we're not going to know if our AC works until we need it. And we might find out the second we turn it on, because it starts to get hot, that we don't have air conditioning. And
I mean, it's all one system. It's the HVAC, right? That's what you have? It's just like a central heating?
We have central air for AC, and we have radiators for our heat.
Oh, so they're separate units. Oh, yeah, then you might be fucked. That's great.
I know.
Okay, cool.
And like AC is one of those things that you really don't want to find out it doesn't work when you need it.
No, it can get to be a pretty dire situation.
You call someone, it's like, it hasn't been an issue before, but now I'd really like it because I can't sleep because it's so hot. But.
So one thing so we can end this podcast in a second, but one thing you should know about is that you have a built-in insurance for someone who just buys a house that lasts like a year, and it's for all the stuff that goes wrong that you didn't see, like an appliance or something that suddenly breaks or doesn't work. Same with the AC unit. Like if that doesn't work, you have a built-in. It's like baked in with the purchasing of the house is that you have to buy this insurance, and they don't really talk about it much. And like we had a washing machine that died immediately, and we were like, oh, we just use this American Heritage or whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah. And they begrudgingly give it to you, but they also don't expect you to know about it. They're like, how did you find us? Yeah. You're like, well, my real estate agents happened to be a nice person and told me about it when I told them the shit died. So you don't have to worry too much about that stuff right off the bat, especially with appliances and anything silver in your house. You could be like, okay, I know that somebody will fix this and it won't cost me anything.
What I would love, and I think that my brother's advice when we were getting the inspection done before we bought the place, was to ask the inspector questions, ask them everything. And I didn't really, I mean, I asked questions like, is that bad? Is that good? How does this thing? What he wanted me to ask, and what I wish I would have asked, was just like very basically, how does everything work? Because that's not something that I've needed to know for any apartment that I was renting, because I could always just call the landlord and say, this thing is broken. It's your responsibility to get it fixed. And I don't spend money and I walk away from it. But I would, now that this is a thing that we own, I want a professional who knows what they're talking about to tour around, and I could like point out the hot water heater and be like, now how does this work? What does this part do? All these wires over here, what do they do? If the power goes out, what do I do? All these things that like previously was a landlord's problem. Now it's like the whole house is ours. All of it's ours, which is very fun and incredibly overwhelming to be like, now this gigantic industrial vacuum thing for the detached garage that we don't want to keep, can I just like break it? What do I do with it? What's it, like, will it... A question I have for so much of this house is like, will it shock me if I try to do anything with it? If I don't like this cable that we use for internet technology, it's really long. If I cut it, will I die? Am I allowed to cut it? I'm allowed to shoot someone who walks into my house if they're an intruder. What about all the other stuff? Am I allowed to break these things?
For those, you always have to turn off your electrical box. You'll know all of that. But like, I'll say YouTube will be the best thing in the world for you, because that's everything I know from YouTube now. And the fact that people didn't have it their whole lives is absolutely insane. That they would just learned how to solve these problems through trial and error, or they had to call someone in who was a specialist and then have them explain it. Like YouTube, I have solved so many issues in my house just watching YouTube videos, and there's ones that are specific for each problem you have. So it's great.
It's funny and sad talking to my parents and after doing a bunch of research and being like, do you know this is according to this Reddit spreadsheet that I've downloaded, nowadays you're supposed to clean your dishwasher like every month. And they're like, no, that's not like new to dishwashers. You always need to clean your dishwasher. I'm like, but it's a box that does the cleaning. I'm like, yeah, but you have to clean it. I was like, man, did you know about that when we had a dishwasher in our house growing up? They're like, yeah. We're like, well, I never cleaned it. So how did it get cleaned? My parents were like, we cleaned it. We did all of all of this, like, you little kids did chores. You made your bed and wiped down the bathroom sink. We were doing the regular maintenance on the house. And I was like, this whole time?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Dad, did you know you need to change air conditioner filters now? It's like, yeah, why do you think I was sweaty and mad all the time in our house growing up?
When you for those filters, Dan, if you write the date on them before you put them in, so helpful. On the cardboard part of around the outside of the filter, write the date on it, because every single time when you go to change filters, you're gonna be like, when did I last do this? When did I do this? Was it 6 months ago or 2 years ago? And like, you don't know. You never know. And occasionally I'll do it. I'll be like, I don't think I've changed these filters in a long time. And I'll go look and I'll be like, oh, I did it a month and a half ago. That's great news. I just had completely forgot.
I will probably, I'll try to remember that. I will hopefully do that. I am very, historically, I've been pretty good at setting things in my phone calendar and tick to-do list app.
Idea.
That like I will, over the last couple of years, like I will wake up and look at my phone to see what my day is and see what I'm supposed to do. And a thing will pop up that is like, rotate the mattress or clean the dishwasher. Something that I learned about at some point in my life that I programmed into my phone to never think about. I'm going to program the hell out of my phone and just look every day and be like, hey, change the AC vent. I'm like, all right. I am always at the mercy of what past Daniel has done. And like, I looked at it last night and my phone said, hey, put your garbage out to the curb. And like, I guess he looked it up. I guess past Daniel looked it up at some point and discovered that Monday is her day. Great. I don't know where he found that information, but appreciate the heads up.
All right. Well, good luck, man. And
Thanks,
I
buddy.
think that's actually probably a better situation than I have, which is I don't put anything in a calendar and I just go, the old melon will remember it all, and then I forget everything. All right, everybody, you've been listening to Quick Question with Soren and Daniel. You knew that. Our podcast is available anywhere you stream your music or on podcast networks. If you want to get a little extra content, though, you'd have to go directly to subscribe to Apple Podcasts or to our Patreon, where we do another version of the show that's a little bit shorter and just a little more loose, if you can imagine that. Our theme song is by Me Rex. You can find their music anywhere you stream. And our whole podcast is put together. It's edited, produced, engineered by Gabe Harder. Gabe Harder is a champion at podcasting, and you'll never know it because he's ours, and you can't have him. Goodbye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the right we know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.